Okay, so we're back. So we know that our simple book can just create a simple message. So let's up the ante a little bit here. So I've created a second book whilst you were away watching the video, and we're going to add a new script. We're going to call it SKQ book script do. Okay. So what I thought it would be fun to do now that we understand a basic event and a basic function, let's explore some other aspects that you can do. So things like if, some conditional scripting. So a script that will only fire if a certain condition is met. And what better way than to create a book with alternative messages. So whilst we're doing that, let's just go back to our message. There he is. Let's just create a new one. So SKQ message do. I'm so petrified of writing massage. Holy moly. More scripts. So excuse me one second while I belch. What you can do with messages is you can actually add buttons. So what should we have on this button? Give me gold. Let's create a new. Give me company. If only such a button existed like that in real life. Okay, so we've created this new one and it's got two buttons on it. So what we're going to do is go back to our script here. Let's add our property. And property, and we know it's a message poll, it's not a... and it was SKQ message. Ooh. There, it's auto-filled. That's good, yeah? So, we're going to edit source. So, we're going to do something slightly different here. So, were I to add properties and scan through all the lists of properties you can add, you'll notice one called int, and what an int is basically, it can be whatever you want it to be. It's basically a unit of measure. Integria, I think it stands for. I'm not 100%. I know that Aaron Dominion would tell you precisely what it means, but for me, I'm like, you know, a terrible painter who uses, throws the paint at the canvas. I don't really think about the intricacies of it all. But anyway, so what we're going to do is going to create a little int called button. So we're going to go back to our event on read. Okay. Oopsie. And I'm going to go button. Oops, I spelled button wrong at the top there. That would... oh no, yeah, I should have left that. Equals SKQ message tool dot show. Now we've seen this one before, so we know that will show the message. But what we're saying is the button is basically showing that. Okay. So we've got our little end event at the end of that. Bish bosh bash. But what we're going to do, we're going to look at a little if statement. So we made two buttons. So we go if button equals 0. I can't remember if I need to do 2. Here, let me just a little glance at my slip. So this is one idea. Oh, it's 2. Button equals. Sorry. So I have to do 2 equals. Just like the conditions that you put in dialogue, it's you've got two kind of calculation values. Yes and no, basically, or yes, yes. So it's very important that you understand that. So if button equals 0, we're going to go game dot get player. Hopefully you know this one. Add item gold 001 times 100. Now you notice something here, and then we're going to go if button equals 1, game dot get. I don't have to do a capital. I'll just it's a good habit. Player place at me my chum. Tell it that it's 1. I really want one of them. Now you notice I've got ifs here, so whenever you put an if statement, so this is basically saying if it's the first button they press, do this. If it's the second button they press, do that. Okay. Now if you put ifs in, you have to close the statement, much like you do the events. You have to close it, or you have to do it with if statements. So you have to, if you start an if, you have to end the if. Okay, so end if. So there's 2 here, so I have to do 2. Now there's other ways of doing this. You could do else if and stuff like that, but basically it's the same principle, and I'd rather you learn about the principle. Now I'm going to try and compile this. I'm going to make this big so you can all see it. There's a way of making this really big. How is it? There we go. Look at, oh, that's better, isn't it? Look at that. Let's not make it as big. Ooh. Okay, let's try and compile this. Okay, so it hasn't compiled. Now I knew it wouldn't, and I wanted to demonstrate something here. So when you get these errors at the bottom of the script, they actually tell you where the problem is. So you notice this first one is saying 1034. So if you notice, if I click up here, it says 117. So it's saying 317, 5, okay, 7. Can you see here? 8, 9. Okay, so what it's doing, it's telling me exactly where the problem is. So it's telling me there is a problem with this line here. Okay, so this is basically saying game get the player, add item, which is a function, and property. So it's saying give this property to the player. The problem is that I haven't declared the property, so I haven't gone up here and said here's a property. Okay, so that's why it's going to fail. Now let me just Control A, Control C. I'm going to close this a second. Yes, because I can never remember how to add the property for gold. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of properties, and we're going to go miss object, is it? Yeah. And I happen to know that gold is this, so this should autofill. Okay, we're going to add another property. We're going to go actor base. Yep. And we're going to go my chum, I called it, wasn't it? It won't autofill because I've not made anything called my chum. Okay, so I'm going to have to edit value when it lets me. SKQ. We may as well use our little test actor. Okay, so I've filled those properties there. So let's go back to that script, edit source, and you'll notice that suddenly all that's appeared, and you notice that I control read. So I don't want that because I've already got it. Bish bosh bash. So now, when I compile, it should work, I hope, unless I've missed something really obvious. Hey, success! So the other thing I forgot to mention before, so we know that the events, we know what events are when something happens, okay? We know what functions are, do this, do that, but I didn't really talk about properties. So obviously the property is what are you doing it to. So the way to think about scripts is when this happens, events, do this, functions, to who or whom, the property. So the property is what you're doing it to. Now sometimes the property will start at the beginning, i.e. game get player. So there's two properties in this line here, game get the player and there's the gold. Okay, I could quite easily change this to actor property player F, which is actually better to use than game get player auto, and I can change these lines to player F just proving my point about two properties here. Player F. So I'm going with this property, do this function, add this property. Okay, so I'm calling two properties here and I'm calling two properties here. So I hope that makes more sense. So just remember, when this happens, do this with this, or with this. This is a property. Okay, I hope that makes clearer sense. I'm going to recompile that. Okay, and save. Now, you notice that I added the actor property here for the player F inside the script, so which means that when I go back here, the property will not be filled. See? But if I click autofill, it will, because player F is an autofill. It's a good one to use. Okay, so there we have it. Now we have a new book. So let's save that and go and look in game. Okay, this time. Okay, not quite going back in game. I actually did, but I didn't have my microphone turned on and I didn't record any sound from the game, so I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit. So before I went back in, I actually wanted to introduce you to a bit more of an explanation of int properties. So int button is an in-game integria or whatever it means. I'm not sure what it means. Okay, but you can create your own. Were you to go to properties, which I can't now because I've got this open, you could create an int property, which I've done here, and I laughingly joked around that it could be anything. You could name it whatever you liked, and I called it Pick My Nose. So what it is, it's just a number. So I deleted this before, and now I'm putting it back. It's just an integral number. So we can actually use it as a condition. So what this is doing here is saying if pick my nose equals below 3, pick my nose plus 1. So it's going to start at 0 and then work its way up. to 3. So what this will do is it will basically only allow us to read the book twice or 3 times. I'm not really sure. Oh no, 3 times, because it goes 0, 1 and 2. So 3 times it will allow us to read the book. So in fact, let's just change that to 2 actually. Ignore this. This is just me. I put that in there to start my dialogue quest for my chum. Again, that's in-game function. Start. That's a property. I pointed a property to my quest that's got his dialogue on, and I'm just telling it, so I'm going property function. So with my property, do this function. So that's pretty much very simple. The other thing that I messed up on, instead of, I did if button equals 1. So I was doing if button equals 0, do that. If button equals 1, do this. I should have done else if, because else if basically means if it's not that, then maybe it's this. I can also do else. So it's basically, that would be, if it's not this, then it's obviously this if it's else. But else if, I tested it before and it works, so I'm not going to mess with it. The other thing I need to do, so I've added another if here, so I need to add in one more and if. Okay, so we've got one if there, else if is the same if, and I've got an extra if here, so that's 2 end ifs that I need to put in. If I put in compile now, hopefully that will work. Save. Okay, so we're going to go back in, and hopefully my audio will record this time, and hopefully all will be well. Okay, so here we are back in the Drunken Huntsman. Oh, it's only a couple of times for you, but for me it's been about 5 times, because I'm a numpty and I'm not infallible.
If you have need of hunting supplies, then you've come to the right place.
Yes, or so I've heard. I'm not infallible. I make mistakes. But that's what modern is. It's trial and error. You experiment, you play around. So
I'll be happy to assist you if you'd like to purchase something.
yeah, go up yourself. Right.
Ah, hello, my Nord friend. In the market for some hunting supplies?
Okay, so there's our first book. That all still works. Yeah, we don't want that. And here's our second book. So let's remember now. So we put a little int value on it. So we will only be able to read this
We sell
twice.
bows, arrows, and ale. A unique combination, to be sure.
Yeah, Drunken Huntsman. Okay, so let's give me some gold. Ching, that worked. Okay, it should work one last time. Give me company. Yes, now we've got our message box here, so we know that our script has worked, because if you remember rightly, we put this debug message box right at the bottom of our script. But after this, we also put place at me another version of the character. So we should have 2. There's 1. There's 2. Both the same guy.
I like cheese.
I'll be happy to assist you if you'd like
Have
to
you got
purchase
any?
something.
Let's just say no.
Well, that's disappointing.
Okay, if you can't make yourself laugh, who can you make laugh? Okay.
I like cheese. Have you got any?
I can tell you're no stranger to the wilds. I'm sure we can meet your hunting needs.
Oh, fandabadoozy.
Now this will be interesting, because now we've got 2 of the same character, and we just told them both to follow. So technically, he should, but he isn't.
I'll be happy to assist you if you'd like to purchase something.
So remember, the place at me places two instances of the same character. If it was a unique character, you would ideally have them loaded in a cell somewhere, and you would use move to, and you would point it to an actor value, an actor property, sorry.
We sell bows, arrows, and ale. A unique combination, to be sure.
Really annoying me. So technically...
Ah, hello, my Nord friend. In the market for some hunting supplies?
Oh, see, they're both following me, so I was correct. So the package is running on both of them, because it set the value to 1, which I did in the last tutorial. Hopefully you've seen that, and hopefully this all makes sense. So, there we have it.
If you have need of hunting supplies, then you've come to the right place.
Let's go upstairs so this bugger doesn't keep chatting. So, there you have it. Very, very simple script. And hopefully it's helped you to understand the basics of scripting. And that's all you really need to know is what the event is, what the function is, and what are the properties. That's all there is to it. There's more stuff to learn, but that's not for now. Maybe I'll do another tutorial in the future exploring a little bit more in depth about scripts and some of the fun things you can do, but that's the essence of what I've been trying to show you, really, is that it can be fun, and anyone can do it. That is the most important thing to me as a modder. I've always believed that anyone can do it, because I did it and I knew nothing. And I taught myself, just remember, Google is your friend. Okay, hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and hope to see you soon. Goodbye.